Welcome back, everybody. Concept 3, discuss the significance of Jefferson's and Madison's presidencies and show how they helped lead to the downfall of the Federalist Party and lead to the development of the era of good feeling. Jefferson and Madison's significance. Part of the significance of both Thomas Jefferson and James Madison as presidents lie in their pragmatism, in adjusting their political philosophies to the needs of the country. They were both able to see the need for a loose interpretation of the Constitution to meet the country's domestic and foreign needs, as can be demonstrated by Jefferson's Louisiana Purchase of 1803, his Embargo Act of 1807, and his attempt to win respect for American right on the high seas with the war with Tripoli in 1801. Madison, as the leader of the Republican Party, continued to narrow the gap between the two parties by approving two of Hamilton's economic proposals of the 1790s. In 1816, the Democratic Republicans, created the Second Bank of the United States and passed a protective tariff that Hamilton had recommended in his report on manufacturers in 1791. Thus, by 1816, Republicans were doing many things that the Federalists had been advocating for years. So, their presidencies, again, were just co-opting a lot of what the Federalists had been advocating. And in many ways, it's a lot of like how President Obama has wielded the presidency. If you look at his the Affordable Health Care Act, popularly known as Obamacare, that was first proposed by the Heritage Foundation and then later adopted by Mitt Romney when he was governor of Massachusetts. Almost the exact same legislation. So he basically just co-opted. I mean, as a candidate, Obama supported universal health care. Which would have been basically free health insurance for all Americans, despite if you were employed or unemployed. But as a political pragmatist, Obama believed that if he co-opted Republican legislation, that it would have an easy time passing. That was a bit of a miscalculation on his part, but it was the same, I think, underwriting pragmatism that Jefferson and Madison exercised in America's early history. With the growing unpopularity of the Federalist Party, particularly after the Hartford Convention of 1814, the Federalist Party was basically a dying machine by 1816. The death of the Federalist Party and the adjustment made by the Republican Party, the Democratic Republican Party, led to a period of political stagnation between 1816 and 1824, often called the Era of Good Feeling. The term Era of Good Feeling was a term coined by a Boston newspaper to politically describe the Monroe presidency. The term was used because Monroe invoked an enthusiastic response from both Federalists and Democratic Republicans, so he was able to bring these parties together. The term for the era is somewhat misleading. I mean, despite this aura of overriding nationalism, political factionalism was on the increase, and sectional differences, particularly North and South, were becoming even more distinct by the 1820s. This is also known, by 1820 all the way up to 1860, this is known as the antebellum period, before the Civil War, basically. However, the result of this political stagnation was a one-party system in the United States from 1816 until 1825, when today's Democratic Party was formed by Andrew Jackson. It did become evident by the early 1820s that American politics could not long continue in this placid pattern. New forces were transforming the geographical sections, north, south, and west of the country, as a series of sharp and bitter conflicts brought out underlining sectional antagonism. By 1824, the sections had again become defined as they began to defend the stand they were to take until the Civil War. All right, so again, this is known basically 1820 to the 1860s. It's known as the antebellum period, this 40-year period. But anyone paying attention at this time began to really understand that it wasn't a matter of if the country was going to go to war, it was a matter of when. All right, that's concept 3. I'll see you guys in the next section, concept 4.